I'm Greg Jarrett for Fox News. There's a new opportunity for Donald Trump to save American jobs. It has to do with air travel, a Department of Transportation decision. Now, the agency will allow Norwegian Air International Limited to operate in the United States using a business model that the Open Skies Agreement was designed to block. Now, critics say this poses a big threat to American flight industry jobs. It sets a precedent that will lead to the lowest possible airline labor standards in the U.S. Joining me to talk about it, Captain Greg Everhard, who is an Air Force veteran and has been an airline pilot now for 19 years. He is the communication chairman for the United Airlines branch of the Airline Pilots Association. All right, so explain this decision and your concerns and how American aviation jobs are hanging in the balance.
Well, thanks for having me on, Greg. And I'm here on behalf of the airline pilots and the hundreds of thousands of U.S. aviation workers whose jobs are at risk of being outsourced overseas because our trade partners are violating the Open Skies trade agreement. And we need the Trump administration to help us by revoking the permit which was granted in December to allow them to operate.
How is Norwegian Air violating the trade agreement?
Good question. Their business model is called the flag of convenience, and it's the same business model that destroyed the U.S. maritime industry. And what they're doing is in direct violation of the labor protection provisions that are in the U.S. Open Skies Agreement. They're based in Norway, but they've started a company in Ireland, and they're hiring crews using Asian employment contracts. And this gives them an unfair advantage over U.S. companies.
So they're trying to go on the cheap, forum shopping for cheaper jobs, increase their own profits. Does that pose any safety risks for people in America who are flying and might be using Norwegian Air?
I don't know if it's less safe or more safe than U.S. aviation, but I do know that the U.S. aviation safety system is the best in the world. We have the safest pilots, the safest system, and we work every day to improve our safety record, which has been outstanding.
Yeah. What can President Trump do?
Well, this is a simple decision to enforce our trade agreements. And by revoking the permit that allows DenyNAI to operate, we think that President Trump can make a very strong statement that he's going to put American jobs first and help save U.S. aviation workers.
What if Norwegian Air were to say, look, okay, and I think they've said this at some point in time, we'll hire, American jobs. We won't go foreign shopping in Asia. What if they said that? Would that satisfy you?
Well, they've just started saying that since the election, and that's not the original stated purpose of their business model, the flag of convenience model. That's what they're saying. Let's look at what they're doing. We've asked them to put that commitment in writing, and they haven't done it. And we've asked them to put that in their application to the Department of Transportation on their permit request, and they've refused to do that as well. If they were to put it in writing, it would go a long way to removing our concerns.
All right, now, people who may back Norwegian Air and Norwegian Air themselves may say, hey, look, the beneficiaries of all this will be the American consumer by virtue of lower fares. What do you make of that argument?
Lower fares are a result of competition, and we're all for competition on a level playing field. Low fares are good, but low fares that are reached when they're cheating on our trade agreements and stealing U.S. jobs aren't good for America.
This isn't the first time that trade deals have been violated, right?
No, sir. We've got some other aviation open skies agreements that are with some of the Middle East countries, and they're getting unfair subsidies from their governments. And we think that's another area that can be looked at by the Trump administration.
Yeah. All right. Other than speaking out as you are here, what else are you guys doing to try to get the word out to persuade the new administration, Elaine Chao as Transportation Secretary, President Trump, to take a different course?
Well, we've been reaching out directly to the Trump campaign. During the transition, we reached out to them. And now that President Trump has taken office, we've been having calls to action, grassroots campaigns. And since Secretary Chao was confirmed earlier this week, our grassroots campaign and call to action has resulted in over 100 letters every hour being sent to her office asking her to revoke DenyNAI's permit.
All right. Any response yet?
Not yet, but we're encouraged by the President's commitment to the U.S. workers. And I can think of no better way for President Trump to make good on his most celebrated campaign promise than to deny DenyNAI and revoke their permit to help save U.S. jobs.
I mean, it seems like such an obvious and easy fix, doesn't it?
Well, it's simple for the Trump administration to revoke that permit until NAI decides to play by the rules and follow our trade agreement.
All right. And in going back to the alternative, get a promise. You'd want it in writing from NAI that we will put American jobs first and foremost?
Well, if NAI agrees to follow the trade agreement and hire pilots and flight crew under either U.S. or EU contracts,
right,
that would go a long way to helping resolve our issues with this application.
Captain
But
Greg,
it's all about saving U.S. jobs,
yeah,
and ensuring that the American workers and American families actually come first in this trade agreement.
Do you know how many American jobs we're talking about?
150,000 roughly right now,
really?
U.S. aviation workers, and we've provided about 5% of the GDP last year with that many workers.
And these aviation jobs are in what kind of categories?
Pilots, flight attendants, air crew, and then you also have ground support personnel. The unfair competition puts the U.S. Airline companies at risk.
All right. Well, the president said he wants to get rid of bad trade deals. From your vantage point, this is a bad one. And he wants to save American jobs, promote America first. You may have an audience there in the White House these days.
Well, we hope so, and we hope that the Trump administration absolutely steps up and helps us protect these American jobs.
Captain Greg Everhart, thanks very much for being here. It was a pleasure speaking to you. Best of luck on this.
Thank you, Greg.
All right. That's going to do it for us. I'm Greg Jarrett for Fox News.